Welcome back to 5 Minute Drum Lessons, where we get it done in 5 minutes or less. On today's agenda, two important rhythms that we just learned as hi-hat patterns, as funky hi-hat patterns. So sometimes we're looking for some ways to switch it up, and maybe you want something a little funky or just a little bit of a change. And a lot of the time we go to the drums, the bass drum and the snare to try to switch that up. But it is a very powerful effect to change the rhythm you're doing on the hi-hat. And we always start out with eighth notes on the hi-hat and just keeping a steady rhythm on a hi-hat. But there are many, many different approaches. And so these two rhythms that we did, the first rhythm is 1/8, 2/16. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. But now we have to play just with one hand. I mean, we could get into doing a two-handed thing if we really wanted to, but we're going to work on this stuff one hand on the hi-hat, one hand on the snare. So we need to take that rhythm and just play with the right hand. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then do a little cross stick here so it's not too loud. So then we're just going to bring in the bass and the snare where we normally would on the 1 and the 3 for the bass drum and the 2 and the 4 for the snare. So we'll do the snare first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And you're gonna, to get this going quickly, it does take a bit of technique because 1 and 2, basically we're going to end up doing 3/16 notes in a row when we're playing. So you need to maybe use the fingers a little bit, stay nice and relaxed in the wrist, and 1 and 2. Yeah, I don't want to get too deep into the technique right now, but 1 and 2 and 3. Kind of try to think of the and does as little taps, and then the note on the beat is your main stroke. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. I'll do more on specific techniques later, but this is just to kind of get you going, and hopefully you're doing some pad practice and working on your technique, and you'll be able to pull this stuff off. If not right away, then very soon. And then, so bass drum at 1 and 3 with the same hi-hat pattern. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Then we put it all together. 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. You can kick it up. Okay, so we're switching up the hi-hat pattern. We're getting something a little funky. And of course, you can mix up your bass drum snare patterns to create even more. But this is just to kind of get you going on these ideas. So the other one, 2/16 notes, 1/8, that rhythm is 1 E end, 2 E end, 3 E end, 4 E end. Bring the snare in. 1 E end, 2 E end, 3 E end, 4 E end, 1 E end, 2 E end, 3 E end, 4 E end. Bass drum. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1. And then we put it together. 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4. Kick it up a notch. And yeah, So that sounds cool. Gets you going on switching up the hi-hat pattern a bit, and then explore the other possibilities with the bass drum too. Just like we mix it up. Try varying your bass drum a little. Try throwing in a couple extra 16ths on the snare. And just be aware when you're changing your hi-hat pattern that it's going to change how the notes you're playing against it function. So if you're adding E's and Uhs, think about how it lines up with the hi-hat. Work it out in your head, or even better, write it out on paper so you can see how these things line up. And then work on the coordination, and you'll be able to play just as many grooves as you can play with eighth notes on the hi-hat, but with these other patterns. And then the next step, start mixing that up and seeing what you can come up with after that. That's it for now. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for joining me. See you on the next one.